I guess I was a semester in. The semester just finished. We was getting ready to start the next semester, and I was on the basketball team, and I really wasn't enjoying architecture. I kind of felt that I had to do it. Um, and I'd also heard, I guess, my whole life where, well, not my whole life, but I'd heard that artists, when they go to an art school, their professors will try to impose their styles on their students and make the students kind of clones of themselves, and I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to be an individual. So that's one of the other reasons I didn't major in art or illustration. But then after seeing my friend of mine, his name is Joe Davis, he brought his artwork. He was on the basketball team as well, and he brought his artwork in practice one day. And I was blown away by how great it was and how unique it was to him. And I asked him, I said, they let you do this type of artwork for your assignments? And he said, not only that, they help you do what you do better. They want you to be an individual. And after seeing that, it really inspired me to really follow my heart and do the art that I wanted to do, because at heart I wasn't an architect. I was a painter. So I decided, even if I had to starve, I would become an artist and do what I really love to do. And the next day I changed my major to illustration, and I didn't look back. While I was in school, I did all of my work. Some of the kids wouldn't do their work when it was assigned, and they'd save it up. They wouldn't do it until the end of the semester, and their work really kind of reflected that. Then there wasn't much growth. But I always did my artwork on time, so I think I got pretty good grades, so I think I built a lot of momentum and a lot of trust. I think my professors trusted me. So by the time I finished, I felt kind of ready to get work, to conquer the world. So I think as a result of doing all of that work, and my mother taught me the art of visualization, visualizing your success and practicing for it. There was a poster in my math class in high school, and it said wish upon a star, but do your homework too. And that's kind of what I was doing, was by visualizing myself being successful at what I wanted to do. I was really kind of wishing upon a star, but I was also doing the work. So I think as a result of doing all of that, it seemed like a lot of things were kind of happening for me. And the first thing that I was able to do, one of the first things that I was able to do was I was hired to be a visual development artist for a movie at DreamWorks. It was a brand new company then. The movie was called Amistad. And this was like 2 weeks after I graduated. The other thing was one of my professors gave me some names of people I might want to show my work to. And one of the people was a guy at Sports Illustrated. So I took my work up there and showed it around, and at the same time I got a job from then. So I was fortunate to really start working immediately. My book on the Negro Leagues has taken approximately 7 years, and the reason it's taken that long is because I've had to do a ton of research for each painting. I have to make sure that uniforms are accurate, colors of uniforms, the ages of the players represented, colors of the ballparks, which ballparks they played in. Every last detail has to be accurate. Unfortunately, much of the records and photographs, many of them have been lost to history. So I've had to try to fill in the gaps with say, knowledge of baseball or whatever I have at my reach to try to paint this picture accurately. It's the book is called We Are the Ship, the story of Negro League baseball. It's the first book that I've ever written and illustrated. So I'm really excited about it. It'll be published in January, I believe, of '08. I've just been really fortunate to be in the right place at the right time in several instances. I'd say I mean, my artwork ended up at DreamWorks, where I was able to work on a movie with Debbie Allen. So that's how I was able to meet Debbie Allen, and she introduced me to several of her friends or people that she's worked with who ended up buying artwork, like Denzel Washington or Jalen Rose. Spike Lee saw a painting I did in Sports Illustrated and wanted some artwork of his own. I've just really just been fortunate. I think most of my work has traveled around and gotten around by word of mouth. I haven't really gone out seeking out celebrities or what have you. I've just kind of run into them, so to speak. What I did for Ellington was not a street as far as creating that world. I mean, when I was working on Amistad, and I also worked on a movie called Spirit, doing visual development. And when you do visual development for a film, you're pretty much creating characters, mood, lighting, and environments. And all those skills come to play when you're doing an artwork for a children's book. So when it came to working on Ellington Was Not a Street, I was able to think about, well, since there was not much text, I had to try to think of this kind of a narrative. And I worked together with my editor, Kevin Lewis, and we went back and forth, and he said, well, I think it was pretty much finished in terms of the sketches that I did, but there were a few spots where it really wasn't making sense. We had to tie it all together. So at the end of the book, he was saying, well, maybe this is some kind of a gathering where all these really influential people are meeting for some reason, political or not, who knows. And I didn't want it to be a political book. It's a children's book. So what I thought would work was to make it like a big family portrait. My grandmother has a great photograph. She has 7 kids, and some of them were married, and my grandmother was sitting in the middle, and it was a great photograph. Really, I always loved that photograph, and I thought, well, I'll use that idea and just make it a big family, and it worked. I think it did anyway. I think Moses is it's certainly the most emotional. The illustrations have the most emotion out of every book that I think that I've done. Even I mean, I did one on Henry's Freedom Box, called Henry's Freedom Box, about Henry Box Brown, and that's very emotional. But I think Moses is even more so because most of the illustrations are very dark and moody because Harriet Tubman did most of her traveling at night, so that meant that most of the illustrations had to be dark. I was a little bit worried about that because it's a children's book, and not that you can make or would make the topic of slavery cheerful, because it was anything but that. I had to keep my audience in mind, but I also had to be truthful when it came to representing Harriet Tubman and her plight. So I was trying to find a middle ground where I wasn't sugarcoating Harriet's journey. So hopefully I did that. I always felt that it was important to share African American history because, one, I enjoy it. I find it very, very interesting. And I think that we don't really get a lot of it in our schooling. So I think it's one of the great ways for me to learn and share it is by painting it. One of the things I really enjoy about it is that when it comes to the artwork that I do, I'm telling human stories, and they're essentially human truths. And I think that once we're able to see that, whether it's represented in artwork that shows African Americans or other ethnic groups, as long as that essential human truth is there, we're going to understand it. So that's what I'm hoping that comes across. Everyone understands what these different human emotions that we have. And when you can see it in a piece of artwork, you relate to it. You emotionally respond to it. And that's what's going to draw you to it. And that's what I aim That's my aim when I'm creating artwork. I would say that kids that want to draw or become artists should practice. I mean, that's a really big thing, is practice, practice, practice every day. Draw. You know, try to become better at it, and draw things that you like. You know, that's what kids do. I drew cartoons. I drew Spider-Man and Mickey Mouse when I was a kid, and then as my interests changed, so did the subjects that I was painting. So I would really recommend that kids really practice, learn to draw, imagine themselves becoming what they want to become. Say it out loud. I want to be this, I want to be that, and then set about the business of becoming that. Just like Maya Angelou said, she said, say it out loud and set about the business of becoming who you are or who you want to be. For teachers to keep their eyes open and recognize that, you know, this kid he might be acting out here, but he's also very talented in this area. Some of those class clowns might end up being great actors one day, or very outspoken people in whatever profession they choose. But it's just a matter of finding or keeping your eyes open, looking at that kid and say, well, he might be a knucklehead in this instance, but I see that he's very talkative, or he's very artistic, or he does these different things, and maybe I can steer him in this direction. Maybe you should think about doing this, or maybe you should think about doing that, and hopefully just that little bit of encouragement might point them in the right direction.